Welcome to the Women's Money Wisdom Podcast. I'm Melissa Joy, a certified financial planner and the founder of Pearl Planning. My goal is to help you streamline and organize your finances, navigate big money decisions with confidence, and be strategic in order to grow your wealth. As a woman, you work hard for your money, and I'm here to help you make the most of it. Now, let's get into the show. Welcome back to the Women's Money Wisdom Podcast. I am thrilled to have a fun guest today who has a brand new book. Lindsay Goldwert is a sex and money writer whose work has appeared in the New York Times, New York Magazine, Slate, MarketWatch, and many others. She is the author of Bow Down, Lessons from Dominatrixes on How to Be a Boss in Life, Love, and Work, a Glamour Magazine Best Book of 2020. And now she is the co-author of the Midlife Plot Twist, How to Reboot Your Life Without Burning It Down, even if you really, really want to, which is out this September. Lindsay, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, I'm so happy and honored to be here. Your audience is the one that I love the most.
Well, our audience is Gen X and millennial women. We are serious about money, but also about life and how money can be a resource for your life. And you're talking about all the taboos. You're talking about sex, money, throw death in there, and we've got them all covered. Tell me a little bit about what inspired you to write this book, which I am so excited to read and promote.
So, the cliff notes is that I'd always been interested in taboo topics. Always, always, always. I started out in news as a journalist in various newsrooms, and then I sort of toppled very randomly into working for some investment startups. One was called Stash, which is a big one, I did great work for them, and they were wonderful to work for. And another app called Zeta, which I think was acquired by Acorns. And I just found that writing about feelings and finance were really important. I felt that was missing from some of these apps, was a lot of them were very male focused, and they didn't really understand how the things that motivate our decisions are so much based on emotion.
You're
And
preaching to the choir right there. So you're in the perfect spot. We're always talking about feelings.
It's all about feelings and finance. And I became friendly with some behavioral economists, and some of that stuff was proven out, some of it hasn't, but I really I loved all those conversations. And then I had the opportunity to write a book, but I decided I didn't want to write a money book at the time, because there were so many beautiful money books being written by women already at that time.
Which is fantastic.
It's a gift, what was going on around 2018, 19. And I said, I want to do something interesting. I want to write a book about how to ask for what you want. And I had this idea that I would follow around a bunch of dominatrixes, and it ended up being the best year of my life. And I learned a lot about myself in and out of the bedroom, and a lot about why it's so frightening to say I want something, whether it's I want to raise, whether it's I want to have a more equitable relationship with my husband, whether it's I want to put down boundaries, why all these things are very hard. So the funny story. Do you
find, if we can pause there, is that a female, like, as you studied this, do you feel like that's specific to women, that it's difficult to ask for what you want, or is it like kind of across society?
I feel like it's hard for everybody, but I feel like for women, I have found that it's especially difficult because a lot of us, even someone like me, who I feel like is a pretty powerful person at this point, I'm still a nice person, and I don't mean to be a pleaser. Like, I hate that word people pleaser, but I like to make people around me feel comfortable. It's not fun it's a lot of labor to create a conversation that's comfortable for everyone is a lot of labor, and sometimes it's worth it. And it's almost always worth it, but it's not. I don't know. I think for women, a lot more women I know just be like, fine, like, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
Or it's not a big deal.
The passive aggressive.
But just in the end, when you get to be our age, it builds up, and then we start to really freak out. And that's when things start to become very toxic for ourselves. So the way that this came into I was hired by Naomi Watts, the actor, to work for Stripes, which was her menopause skincare and wellness company.
Mhm.
And she's a very nice person. I don't have any gossip about her. She was very nice to me, and she wanted me to launch an online magazine for
Interesting.
her brand called Adulted, which doesn't exactly exist anymore. But I ended up hiring another woman who is now my co-writer, and we wanted to do an online magazine about everything that wasn't perimenopause. Like, yes, that's a whole section. That's your health. Lots of health can go kind of haywire,
Yes.
reproductive wise, everything wise in midlife. But there's 90% of everything else that happens with your family, with your money, with your friendships, with your partners, with dating. And
With your
I
relationship with yourself too.
Oh, that's it. Your relationship with yourself, with the self-discovery and how
Mhm.
you have changed. You as a you. You're not the same person you were at 20 when you are 45 or 50. And luckily Naomi was like, she got it right away, and that's what she wanted. So it didn't work out. The brand she ended up buying the brand back, and now it's in a different is still around, and I'm very grateful to Naomi and the team. It was a great group of women, but my co-writer and I were so mad that we didn't get to really do what we wanted to do.
You had
We
this
didn't.
project that needed to be birthed, huh?
It needed to be birthed and needed to be realized, and we pitched it as a book, and that was like our. We just had to get it out there. Just all these things we were so passionate about, because this is a book about my friends. This is a book about
Mm,
your friends. Like, it's not even about an audience. It's about us. Like, who is
love
this
that.
audience? It's our friends, man. Like, it's the girls I used to party with who are now, now they're going through what I'm going through. Like, they're still my sisters. So I
When we
think
get together, my friends, we talk about those old times, we still have fun, but also bedtime might be like 9:30 because that's, like,
yeah.
the most fun on a Friday night
It
nowadays.
is. And the conversations have evolved, but the feelings
Mhm.
haven't. We haven't changed as human beings. We are still the same goofballs, but the stuff that we're going through is changing. And I have the real thing about when people say, "Well, who's your audience?" And I guess I'm such a type B kind of creative person. It's like, my audience is my friends, and I know my
Mhm.
friends, and I know my friends' friends, and their friends, and they're gonna dig it. So
Yep.
that's where this book came from. Was really wanting to write a book we want to write a book for our friends about how to feel better about the fact that they have changed. We didn't have a crystal ball when we were in high school and college when we picked our majors. We couldn't have known about certain technology. We could have known that, we talk in the book about how we were young, you printed out your resume on a laser printer, and then
Yes.
you wore your like good express pants to your first interview. We all had this. And
I got
now
my first job in financial planning from a want ad in a classified newspaper, which how do I even explain that to my kids?
I mean, all these stories are so incredible. So but when we were doing all that, like, we didn't could if you someone had come down and said, "One day you will have something called Slack, and you will be checking it from the toilet," while you are, and you'd be like, "What are you talking?" Like, when we went out, I'm not trying to get nostalgic. I'm not a nostalgia
No,
person,
please, let's go.
but I will say that when we were coming up and as professionals, we could leave our work, and we would work hard all day, and then we would leave, and it would be waiting for us the
On
next
Monday.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe we could have access to email a little bit later on, but you could always pretend that you didn't, for a little while. So I just didn't. We just have to not feel bad about ourselves for not seeing the future, because no one told us. We were not prepared. Our parents couldn't have been prepared for the future that we were going to face, and we just wanted to write a real, like, hand holding love letter to, like, it's going to be okay. We're going to support each other. We're going to be in this together, and it's not over. It's
I
not
love the
over.
ambition of your project because it is I've interviewed so many experts on portions or areas of a woman's midlife identity. And I feel like what's missing is that interdisciplinary conversation of how to how to go in and maintain control when life is full of change, surprise, uncertainty, and pivots. So I think that we need more of these conversations that are proactive, that are anticipatory,
Yes.
and
And and
so
and
yeah, I love that.
anticipatory, but you said the right thing. You said control and anticipatory as opposed to dread. And like, of course, there's going to be a little dread. Your parents are going to get older. Like, let's not. I'm not going to. It's all going to be amazing. It's going to be hard if you have aging parents and your kids are going to college. Like
Yeah,
things are going to.
kids have bigger adult problems as
Yes,
emerging adults and yeah, all
things
those
are
things.
things are going to get gnarly. That is, life has always been gnarly in different ways. But
Mhm.
things are going to get a little gnarlier as we get older. But at the same time, I think that we're teaching people to dread some of the wrong things, like or to like it's everyone's. It's like we don't have to get into skincare and face stuff.
I
But
mean, we can. Let's
or we
go.
can, but I'm saying like the dread of aging and the dread of like perimenopause
Mhm.
symptoms, this like, they, the Instagram ads that we're seeing for perimenopause products, I know for a fact that they're aiming them at women in their late 30s now. So
Oh,
now
yeah.
there's, so now there's a whole generation of women who really aren't there yet, who are really should be focusing on obviously on their health, but also on their prime, like
Embracing their youth.
their their youth, their prime. Like you are, every year you get smarter, every year you learn something you don't like, every year you process something new. And
Mhm.
I think that the things that people really need to think about, also knowing that no one's doing it right necessarily, but
For
that
sure.
a little
And
bit
it's
of
an
planning.
experiment because nobody's an expert on this
No
area
one's an
either.
expert, but I think that there's this difference between anticipating and dreading. And there's a difference between fear, like, "Oh, I'm gonna get old. I'm gonna," we I always joke, from Saturday Night Live, "I'm gonna end up living in a van down by the river," like we joke
Yes.
about these things because you have to joke, you have to laugh, otherwise forget it. But there's also like, well, what are we gonna do about these things? How can we do some sort of thinking and planning while laughing and maybe crying a little bit, and just and also, making peace with the fact that we really weren't told what to do and we have to do it right now, and everyone is stumbling through it together.
I think there's a lot of moments that are quite joyful and easy to miss. In middle age, I started a business at 43, kind of started over my career, in on my own terms. And I could definitely look back over the last decade, I'm 51 today, and say, that it was like, full of challenges and disappointments. And yet it's not at all, and, like, one of the things I started to focus on over the last 3 to 5 years was, like, what's going right? How do I feel that I've changed that makes me better, a better practitioner, a better human, more comfortable in my own skin? I certainly feel more comfortable today than I ever did in my 20s and 30s, or 40s, in terms of who I am and, like, boundaries and all sorts of things. And
Yes.
just being given permission to look for the positives, I think is
Oh
something
my
that we
god.
all need to be reminded about.
This is the okay, my 40s have been my best decade by far, and, like, 3 of them were in New York in a pandemic. So let's if that gives you any, like, any idea. There's so I am living for my 40s, and I'm gonna be 48 soon,
Mhm.
so or 49. One of those. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. And also happy birthday.
Thank you.
Um, but I think that finding joy in these moments, like it's so hard for me because I find so much more joy in every moment now, because
Mhm.
I appreciate everything. I appreciate every good day. I appreciate like this summer, I'm taking some time off the summer to promote the book and to do, and I'm becoming certified as a sex educator so that I could become an even better sex and money writer, and I can make more friends and talk about all the stuff that I want to talk about. Write another book, I hope. So you, it is essential to appreciate and find joy in what you do every day. Like
So true.
everything
Even
is
if
so much,
it's,
yeah.
like, even if there's 100 things to write on the list of, like, wouldn't want that again, like, still realizing the blessings of the day.
Well, not knowing what you want is a blessing.
Mhm.
Never having, like, we have a whole section of the book that's like, I'm never doing that again. It's like, what an amazing thing to know what you don't want to do anymore. Like, what a gift. Like, we don't always know what we want, but to know what you don't want, that's like you're 80% there. you
Yeah, so
know?
true.
And that's true for if you just are dating again. That's true if you're, taking a new job or if you are moving to a new home, it's like I'm never going to live in a house again. I cannot deal with the upkeep. I've done that. It's like that's right, girl. You did that and it stunk. And now you don't have to do that again. It's like I'm never going to work totally remotely. Like I need to be in a hybrid office. Like yeah, you know that cuz you did it. Like own that experience. Like you're a genius for yourself now or like more than you were when you were younger.
It's
Be
so
honest.
true, like, there's only one person who's gonna be like, it's clear who the biggest advocate for you in your life should be, and that is you,
Yeah.
and if you don't write your script, then you are left to, formulas that are
Oh,
not built for you.
certainly not, and not built for anybody right now. What's happening in the workplace right now, this massive shift that's happening with employment for women, I would say. I mean, women and people, but women like 45 to 55, this like huge all these layoffs, this restructuring, this
Mhm.
AI and stuff, like we're all in a little bit of a maelstrom right now. And one thing I do want to say is one of the big things that gets me very upset about the perimenopause conversation, because it's saying that perimenopause is the most important thing that happens to you in midlife. That's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the perimenopause is something that is definitely affecting us. It affects us, it's affecting our hormones, but transformation is what I'm seeing most. Look what you did. You started a whole new career at midlife. You did it yourself. All my friends are doing what I'm doing. We're all trying to write books, pivoting our careers. My friend's going back to school to become a therapist. Another one of my friends just bought a business, like we're all like, what is the way, what is going to a life that can suit me now? That to me is the story of midlife, and there's like, and you might be sweating and you might like forget your keys and stuff. But beyond that, it's just so insulting to let us be boiled down to our symptoms when we're the healthiest, wealthiest generation of women to ever grace the earth. We're doing so much better than we think. I'm such a cheerleader, but it's
No, I
true.
love what you just said, like, we are when we look, at, the history of women, women in the US in modern times, we have so much to write home about, in terms of our success. And for your reader, I know in all likelihood, I know for my clientele and the listeners on this podcast, your perspective to invest and your in yourself, your willingness to proactively work on your money story and your money situation gives you more resources, whether it's between your ears or within your wallet and your accounts, to augment and change expectations. You may have had a, like a story you told yourself about where you needed to be career wise that isn't working for you anymore.
Yes, yes.
You may think that you can't, like trade in the typical picket fence house for a condo, or you may be changing your relationship status or renewing your efforts on working on your relationships. But all of these, like for me, the money is a resource to use now or later. And so there's just so many fascinating like options and choices that we have today that we may not have been afforded in a past life where there
So what
weren't 401ks to divide and things like that.
Right. That we even understood what they were or when they were explained to us at our
Mhm.
jobs. But one thing I wanted to say, just that you just said, is that in the book, so when I was writing the finance chapters, I said, and I made a choice. I said I could either go into like ways to invest, make sure you have a Roth, make sure you have this, you have a diversified portfolio. And I said, you know what? I'm going to assume this is a group of women who are reading this book who have tried a lot of things. They've
Yeah.
read all the books, they have downloaded the podcasts, they have like floating 401ks, they're doing better
It's
than
not a
they've done.
starter's manual for
No.
how to invest.
But I said, if you start to deal with some mental health stuff, you go to a therapist. If you sprain your ankle, you go to a physical therapist. If you are 50 and you really aren't quite sure what to do with your money, go talk to a financial advisor. So one
Mhm.
who can sit with you and can listen to you, someone like you, someone who you could have a little cry with, and someone who could say, and can talk to you over time. What are your goals? What are your goals? Lindsay, what are your goals? Are you going to have grandchildren? It's like, no, I know I'm never going to have grandchildren, but I have nieces and nephews. Do you think you want to do this? Do you think you want, like, I don't want that. And I'm pretty sure I'm never going to want that. It's like, well, we're going to design a life for you. We all
Mhm.
need help. And people think you need to be rich to have a financial advisor. They're like, why am I paying money to take care of the money that I don't have?
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, it's like, you are making an investment in yourself, because you could be because especially if you're paying down your debt and you can't, your school debt. It's like someone can help you pay down your school debt while still saving for the future. We all need help. It's, we're such
Mhm.
Gen Xers, and we're such DIYers in our own way, because we're used to, like, I could just do it myself. I'll just do it myself,
We're also
like I,
told that we're behind. We're told that we're, like, the generation that is the most messed up. We're smaller, so we just don't get as much attention, but
it's
I find Gen X clients to be so fun to work with.
oh
Obviously, they're my peers.
yes, there are peers, but we all feel like, because we're smart and we did read, we could still read books. Now, I hate to talk about younger people, because my nieces do read. They're young and they do read, but we still read. We really tried our best, and everyone, a lot of my friends are doing much better than they think.
Oh,
But
yeah. I all the time, I people come in and they're like, "Ugh," like,
I'm such a
I don't know how
loser.
I'm doing or, not great. And it's like, okay, here's like 5 things you're doing fantastic. And here's 3 opportunities that can make it even
Exactly.
better. My cost is finite. I'm always comfortable talking about it, transparent about costs, but like your assessment of the relationship with a good financial planner is about the compounding returns of making informed decisions that are
Yes.
personal to you. That's more difficult to quantify, but it is easier to feel.
Well, the feelings are everything's feeling of that you're in control. It's like, I'm working with a
Mhm.
person who I understand their fee structure, I understand what I'm paying for. I know that they're not going to be making decisions that just to benefit them. They're fiduciary, they're going to hold my hand through this in a way that a
Mhm.
therapist can hold your hand through processing a divorce
Which
or
I also
processing,
advocate for is
you know,
therapy is wonderful in midlife.
well, financial therapy, I think if I had a clone, I would become a financial therapist,
Oh, so cool.
because I
Yeah.
think that is so important, because especially with, when I talk a lot about couples and relationship stuff, you know, if money comes into the equation, which it always does, it has
Yep.
to, then it can't be a moment where a therapist is like, like, I'm not really sure. It's like, well,
Right.
you can't tell, you can't say how to tell them what to invest and stuff, but things get really, people in midlife, especially if, women go in and out of the workplace,
Mhm.
we work really hard and then we stay home to have kids, we go back in, we go part-time, so that we do have less financial equity, if we are in a partnership, because we're going to bring in less retirement. We might feel like we haven't contributed as much as other people. If you don't have that relationship with a partner where you can really talk about that, where there isn't an understanding of, like, who makes more, who makes less. If you don't feel like an equal partner, now is the time to have that conversation, and to have it with a financial planner who has a heart and some feelings, and give you some tips on how to have that conversation. It's like, we need this support, because if you're with the right partner, they're going to be like, oh my god, of course, we're in it to win it together. Who cares who made more one year and who made less? But things get very strange, especially if you are thinking about leaving your partner. Like, then
True.
you
And if I will say that one note for people in um good committed relationships that there are sustainable committed relationships is that financial planning often bringing a financial professional into the room gives space for everybody's voice if it's the right
yes,
person. If you're working with someone who only makes eye contact with kind of the dominant financial decider in the relationship, then might not be a great fit.
that's, yeah.
Um, but otherwise, it should be an opportunity for mediation on some of the things that like may be more difficult to resolve in a like long term relationship when it comes to money, because there's often everybody has their own money story and everybody has a different perspective
Like,
and might make different
you just said
decisions.
something so interesting to me, and I didn't write this in the book, but, like, maybe some women would be more comfortable with a female financial advisor,
Could
that,
be.
and if they're going to be the one to bring up the conversation of, like, then you be the one to pick the person that you think you're going to have the most direct conversation with, that you'll feel the one that you can talk to. I know a lot of men tell me that when their wives tell them, like, oh, we have to go to marriage counseling, they pick the counselor, and then the
Yeah.
men will be in the room and they're like, I don't know if I really like this lady or if this
I'm not
lady
feeling
likes
this.
me.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you want to have the conversation, then you pick the person that's going to make you feel the most powerful.
Mhm.
So these are all hard things. And
And the other thing I want to note, though, sorry to interrupt, is like if you don't know if your relationship will endure, having like it's in my opinion, in most cases I did a lot of divorce work over the last 10 years, divorce financial planning work. Um, having a financial planner involved with both of you, it only makes it better when you break up too, typically.
yes, that
Because
is
and also it might make the challenges of the relationship less, like it might resolve some of the challenges of the relationship if there's power imbalances or inequity when it comes to access to funds and things like that. So both can be true. You don't need to wait till you're like sign the divorce agreement and then hire the financial planner.
no, do it
Right.
before so that you end up on your feet and the conversations are faster. Maybe you can even go to mediation. Maybe you don't like, and you should, I want to read that book. I hope you write
Yeah.
that book.
So true. But like I like, so you don't just wait and say, oh, I'm getting divorced, so I'm not going to start working on that. Like there would be
No.
more to divide if you're making better decisions and more informed decisions. You'll have more perspective. And like I said, it could resolve some of the issues.
And know what's yours is yours. Get those
Mhm.
questions of fear. Oh, I didn't contribute enough. Or, he paid off my loans, or I stayed home and I did all this other I did a I for there was a time when I worked for 5 years and he took time off, like, just you have to
Yeah.
just get it straight before, and any time is important. But, this empty nest time, people's kids are leaving the house and suddenly these couples are looking at each other like, "Ugh, like, are we still in it
What
to
are we
be in
gonna
it
do
together?
now?
What are we like, are
Yeah.
we still is our chapter finished? Like, now that we've raised
Mhm.
these cool kids, like, are we gonna still but wanna be together?" And then it's like, "Well, who am I? Like, what is mine?" And I think every conversation as a couple you need to have with yourself first. That's like my big thing, is that
I love
as
that.
before you go into couples therapy or anything, it's like, well, you have to do a lot of your own work too before you like dump all the stuff onto another person, expect them to pick up what you're laying down. You need to figure out who you are first and what you want. So that's why if you are thinking about ending a marriage or just thinking, getting your finances together, your financial confidence
Mhm.
together. Like, some people just don't know who, like, are you on the deed of the house? It's like, I think I am. It's not that we don't know, we're tired, It's like, am
Well,
I
some people never see their accounts. Like, there's one person who has all the logins and,
yeah.
you know, whether you're committed to whether you're gonna stay in the relationship or not, like, changing those dynamics would be, I think, helpful and healthy.
Yeah, and but how do you do it?
Tough.
Ideally,
It's
someone
tough.
like you, someone
Mhm.
would be like, well, here's like a separate plan of how to have these conversations. My big
Yeah.
thing is tough conversations. That's like my tough money conversations, and then I don't have the answer, so I bring in people who can help. Whether it's
What are
you
some of
know,
the other tough conversations you had in the book and brought
oh,
light to? I know it's a very, funny, fun read too,
oh, because
not
it
just
was
a downer.
well, just is there's so many things that we bring up. Well, the idea of people's, do I want to open up my marriage? We don't get into that too much because the book
Mhm.
it would be an encyclopedia. But do I still want to be in a monogamous relationship with my partner? Does he still want to, what do I do if this person I don't think we're attracted to each other anymore? How can we I don't want to like I don't feel like we have any chemistry. I don't want to have sex with him, but I love him, or I love
Mhm.
her, but it's how can we have these conversations where like, I love you and I'm still in it to win it with you, but I'm not feeling it right now. It's like, well, how do you put that out there? What do you want back from that person? Do you have any solutions? Like, maybe we can open up the marriage. It's a very intense conversation for people to have, because that might not go the way you want it to go. Doesn't mean you shouldn't
Mhm.
try, but you have to spend a lot of time in yourself knowing what you want. Do you want to have a threesome? It's like, oh my God, like, life is yours. Do what you want to do, but if you want to have these conversations, you have to really think about what you're unhappy with in your own self, and
So
what
that's a conversation with yourself
there's a
first.
conversation with yourself, but and then having a conversation with your partner about but there's so many, conversations. Talking to there's this great woman. I don't know if you ever had her on your pod. Her name is Cameron Huddleston.
Mm-mm.
She has a book called I think it's called Mom and Dad, We Need to Talk. And it's,
I've heard of that book.
yes,
Yes.
she's a wonderful person. And she talks about how when her father passed away, he didn't have a will. And
Mhm.
it was like, it's a debacle beyond. So tough conversations to have with your kids, like this is our financial planning. This is what's
And
going
your
to happen.
parents, like,
And
both,
your parents,
up and down.
so my friends who I used to go to the clubs with and party with and do all this stuff, they're straight that like now I have to sit down with my parents and like have them chase down their will. Like, oh my God, they still have this person as the executor of that person died like 20 years ago. Like, so these are hard conversations talking to our own parents about money. It's like, how can we sit down with them and say, like, we need to like make our lives easy. We're going to help you help us, and no one told us how to have these. So that's a great resource, is how to talk to your stubborn,
I love that. Yeah.
anxious, resentful parents. Not all of our parents are like that, but a lot of people's parents are. They don't want to show their kids what's under the hood because they don't have what's there, or they don't want to be judged, and they don't want their kids to say, how could you have not taken this pension, or how could you have, like, how do you have this much
Or
money? And
sometimes it's like dad was such a great investor. So, and like, but I opened the investment portfolio. I was like, that was great for like 2005 and it hasn't been maintained or managed since then.
yeah,
So that can be the other, like, we don't, like dad is so smart in this stuff, but dad's like 92 and can't file a tax return anymore. And, like, how do you go and be like the equivalent of like hand a
I mean,
driver's license?
that's a certain kind of financial therapist that someone needs
Yeah.
for like intergenerational stuff. We all need
Yeah.
generational support. Someone could sit with your parents and like sit with you and say like, just try to like be gentle. But I have so much empathy for our older parents. Like,
Yes, for sure.
like when my grandmother
And
was,
so much empathy for the people that are caregiving for them as
oh,
well, our
for
peers.
everyone. When my grandmother
Yeah,
wasn't able to write checks anymore, it was just so devastating for her.
I
And
bet.
my grandmother was very independent. She was very sharp. She was a bookkeeper. And my mom had to do all that for her. So my mother was like, my parents dealt with so much with their own parents. So I watched
Mhm.
them. And it's, you can, no matter what, you don't think you've done enough, and you've
For
done anything,
sure.
so it's not the kind of thing where it ends and you're like, I did a great job. Like, you're not going to feel that way, but I think they did. But I think that if this book is going to go where I want it to go, where my colleague and I want it to go, is we do want to create like this like network of helping people, of like, oh, Melissa can help. Like she can have, I could help. She can talk about this, and she can recommend some people. She can give tips, and oh, we can talk to this great marriage counselor, and she's got great ideas on how to, maybe if you decide you're ready to come out in midlife. Like, we want everyone
Mm.
to be like, you're not expected to know how to do these things. Why would you think you had to? As
What
opposed to like, why
surprised you
don't you know?
most, as you were, like, you had your vision of the book? Did anything that you assumed would be one way, you, like, get into the weeds of the topic and are like, "Oh my god, I had no idea that this is what we needed to be talking about."
Well, it's really funny, just talk about like knowing your audience. Like, so we put out a poll on LinkedIn, and it got shared pretty widely, which was really wonderful. So it wasn't just like our friends or anything. And we said, how have you ever considered, did you ever fantasize about burning it down?
Ah!
And 80% said yes. And we said, well, like, give us examples. And they were like running away, like leaving my family and like opening a bakery on like a desert island. They're just like quitting my job, leaving my husband. Like, we have all this, we're keeping the world going every day, but within us is like a volcano of energy that,
Yeah.
if allowed to explode, could really do the
Go
world
in a
some
different
damage.
yeah.
Which, so the world should be grateful to us. But I think that was the why it kind of showed us that our idea that, how to reboot your life without blowing it up, unless you really, really want burning it out, unless you really, really want to. So we're saying, don't burn it down, like singe it, light it on fire a little bit, but you don't have to change your name and fake your death. Like, you don't have to do that, like, but if you
Well,
do
if
it,
we're for our listeners who are sitting in their car, like, "I wanted to burn it down this morning." First of all, everybody needs to read the book, but then what would you tell them to ponder when those moments come where they're just like, "I'm done with this?"
I think you can make 2 lists in your head. You can make it the list of the things that you actually would miss about your life if you faked your death and moved to Guam and opened up, a juice shop, like, well, what would I miss? And I think
Yeah.
these conversations are very fantasy like, but they're fun because in fantasy you can really like you don't have to have guilt. You can have real like I'm a very big believer in the cinema of the imagination. So you
Mhm.
can say, well, say I did this, like who would I miss? Like, well, I guess like I miss my kids, after a day or two, I guess I'd miss my friends and I guess I'd miss her. It's like, okay, so there's still some things to live for in this realm,
Yeah,
It's like,
for
okay,
sure.
maybe it's not all bad. But then you have to think, but this is why I really, really do want to burn it all down because I'm tired of X, Y, Z. And
Yeah,
people
what
just
is, like, in the way of your contentment
yeah, and but
and your
just take
comfort?
and take out the because when you live in a world of this fantasy world, it gives you a freedom from shame and guilt. It's like, oh, I
Mhm.
know I should feel grateful. It's like, yeah, 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 yeah. You are grateful. It's like stop saying I should. Of course you're grateful. Of course you're a good person. It's like you're not a bad person for saying that sometimes you want some alone time, and you're not a bad person for saying because we all have so much to be grateful for. It's like yes, like that's a given. Like put it aside and be real. And it's like,
Mhm.
what are 3 things that are probably a good reason to not burn it all down. Like, like you kind of do like your family. You don't mind your friend. Yeah, yeah. There's some things that are
Yeah.
still, that you might miss if you go into like witness protection. And then think of 3 things that are like, but this is what's really making me
This
mad.
yeah.
And it's like, well, like how, and it's about small changes. We don't, this book is not about like simple tricks and quick hacks. And there's no quick hack to getting to understand yourself also because your landscape is always changing, but getting in touch with your essential self because you really haven't you are still the same person. Like when we pitched the book, we said like instead of remember, in the magazines, like new year, new you, the new
Yeah.
you is
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
go to the gym. The new you is gonna be organized. The new year is new. And we're like, F that. Like new year, old you. You are great. You're great as you are. Like,
Mhm.
do you want to improve some habits? Great, great, great. That's not what we're talking about. You do know yourself, and you know at this point in your life what you don't like and what you're
Yes.
over. So instead of just trying to change who you are, figure out how you can change this thing, whether it's maybe taking on a different role at work, or maybe it's figuring out how you can just like put some money aside to get someone to help you like clean the house like once a month. Just like, how can you just offload, use your money to like, it's just not that much money when you're in the old folks home, like it just how you can like I cannot handle just having to clean the whole house, blah blah blah. It's like, well, okay, well, don't pretend to be a clean person tomorrow. That's not gonna happen. Be like, what can I do? How can I reallocate my resources so that I don't have to think about this so much? And now I have more time. It's like that's what we want people to think
And
about
so
is
many
just
of our Gen X peers have nailed retirement already, and they need more resources for this stage of life, which involves more people's needs, less time,
yes.
uh, um, peak earning years where you like, why not have permission to enjoy a little bit of it? So
Yes.
I love the idea of incrementalism and also like make lists that are add, edits, and delete. Like what do you want to keep but change? What do you want to add? But also like that to don't list of like, whether it's like people in your life or things that you're doing that just do not serve you anymore, like feel free to cross them off the list.
The other thing about longevity, everyone's obsessed with longevity now. We all want to live longer, healthier lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the way to do that and how to start and to use your money now is to invest in like in things that grow your friendships, things that grow your hobbies, things that grow your exploration of all these things will
Your
extend your
purpose
life.
outside of work.
It'll
Yes.
extend your life. New friendships will extend your life. The more friends you have, the longer you're likely to live. Is to have you have
Mhm.
a more vibrant social life. That is 100% true. Making friends is hard for a lot of people. Making some time to invest in meeting new people is that is a very that's a healthcare spend. It's a social spend. It's an everything spend.
I love that.
Like I would like to learn how to play the drums next year
Okay.
because like why is it because I have a vision of me when I'm like 75 being in like my senior group. I want to be in the battle of the bands. I want to be in a band at my old folks home. Like that is a vision I
What a
have.
great goal.
It's a
I
great goal
love it.
and I can do that. And so if I spend $500 next summer learning to play the drums, like is that an investment in the happiness of my older years? Yes. Beyond how happy will I be when everyone's like when I'm playing, I don't know what am I playing? I'm playing Liz Phair or playing something, to my
Great soundtrack. That sounds good.
yes, my little Fair soundtrack to everyone in the old folks home. That $500 I spent a little bit paid off in a minute because so that is what you need to do with your money is invest in the kind of life you want, how rad you are. What would your 17-year-old self say?
Yeah, she would be happy that I was a lot more comfortable in my own skin doing things like that. Or,
Yes.
like I took a jump off of a high dive, which I never would have done as a child when I was visiting Europe in my late 40s. So these types of things
Congratulations.
are
I'm
fun
I'm
and worth
learning how
it.
to ride a bike for the first time.
Yay! I love that.
It's never just all these little things are going to make you they do pay off in dividends. Now you could take a million high dives. Like I'm going to be able to ride a bike. Like I'm going to be able to like these are these little things. All the things that I did, the weird things are the things that paid off the most emotionally for me. So just have faith in your goofiness.
Yes, and try new things, and it's okay to be like, "Well, that was that was a miss,
Well, because
but at least I tried."
when you're young, and I could talk to you forever, but I spoke to this great therapist, and she helps patients who are her patients are retired, and they're trying to kind of navigate their life after retirement, and a lot of them struggle with purpose and all these things. Um, and she says that the most important thing to do is to keep discovering. She's like, when you're young, it's like you pick up a guitar, you play it for a year, then you put it down.
Mhm.
You play tennis for a little while, then you switch to softball. And that's part of growing up is you're just picking things up and putting them down. It's like, well, you can still do that as an adult, and you're not a quitter. Like, yeah, I decided I was going to play the drums, and then now I can keep a basic beat, and I'm gonna, maybe like stop doing that for a while, and now I'm gonna do this. Like, I think having that teenage attitude toward, except now you don't have to put on your college resume. Now you can just do it for
Yeah,
you.
and you don't have
So
to ask mom for permission to sign up.
no, oh my God, that's my whole life. It's like, aren't you glad to be an adult? You don't have to like ask for permission to do things. Like,
Ah.
but just treat yourself like a teenager more. Like, just let yourself explore and make time for friends. Like, all that stuff is like, we weren't wrong. The things that were important to us when we were young, we were right. Fun and friendships and
Keeps you
it,
young.
yeah, because we were right. Those things were fun, and we still deserve them.
Well, where can people find the book and any future projects that you're working on, Lindsay? I'm so excited for it to be out in the world.
Oh, thank you so much. We can't wait. You can always find me at lindsaygoldwert.com, just first name, last name. And you can find the book. You can find all my writing. And then I have a new newsletter, which I'm very excited about. It's called Dear Star 69. And it's going to be a sex and relationships advice newsletter with a little bit of other advice and tips and thoughts about how to live a more sensual life in yourself.
That
And
sounds
just
amazing.
yeah, it's very it's very me. I just want everyone to have a good time.
Well, congrats on all of your success. And thank you for bringing the messy money middle into the conversation with the new book, The Midlife Plot Twist.
Thank you. I know we're going to work together soon.
I can't wait. Collaborations onboarding.
Thank you for listening to the Women's Money Wisdom podcast. If you found value in this episode, the best way that you can support the podcast is to forward an episode to a friend or leave a review. Go to proplan.com and the podcast link to get all the resources and links mentioned. This presentation by Pearl Planning is intended for general information purposes only. No portion of this presentation serves as a receipt of or a substitute for personal investment advice from Pearl Planning or any other investment professional of your choosing. Copies of Pearl Planning's current written disclosure brochure and Form CRS discussing our advisory services and fees are available upon request or on our website platform at pearlplan.com. The information that we share is meant to educate and inspire, not serve as personalized financial advice. Everyone's situation is unique, so be sure to consult with your own financial professional for guidance that fits your life. And just so you know, the opinions shared in this podcast are Melissa's own and those of her guests. They don't necessarily represent any organizations with which Melissa is affiliated. For more important disclosures, please go to our webpage at pearlplan.com.